Hey guys, I'm Paradise1. So, since the beginning of Battle for Azeroth, I really started getting into doing rated battlegrounds. The biggest disappointment though is when I get into an LFG and get into say a Arathi Basin, and I see the group lead type out Hunter sits stables. So while I understand that being a Hunter my class excels at base sitting, I knew that I can get more out of my class. Eventually, when I was finally given the opportunity to not sit a base, put that to the test, and realized that survival is surprisingly effective at ninjaing bases, and after 2 seasons of practicing this, I've decided to make a video on it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my guide to ninjaing bases in rated battlegrounds as a survival hunter. First, let's go through our toolkit, or the abilities that we're going to use to ninja. So first we have the obvious freezing trap, which is 8 seconds of crowd control that can be used in unison with the other abilities below to secure a cap. Next we have our high explosive trap, otherwise known as a knock trap. This is used to knock targets off of the flag to prevent certain spinning abilities. This is also your most valuable tool when trying to ninja on a Z-axis node, which I will cover later. Next we have our tracker's net. This is by far the most important tool that survival has to ninja a base. It is a 6-second undispellable route that will cause physical attacks to have an 80% chance to miss. This means that even if they are right on top of you and use a physical attack to spin you, there is an 80% chance it will fail, and you can cap right on top of them. Finally, we have our intimidation stun, a 5-second stun that, although not long enough to get a cap on its own, can be used in unison with the above abilities to secure a cap. There are 2 types of nodes I'm going to go over ninjaing on in this guide. There are Z-axis nodes, or nodes with a notable ledge or Z-axis, in which enemies can be put out of line of sight, and non-Z-axis nodes, which I will cover first. Non-Z-axis nodes do not have a notable ledge or cliff to remove enemies from your line of sight. Such nodes include stables, mine, and farm on Arathi Basin, as well as all 3 of the nodes on both Battle for Gilneas and Deepwind Gorge. While Z-axis nodes have a lot more flexibility on what classes you will be able to take a base from, non-Z-axis nodes have certain limitations. I've gauged the difficulty of common base sitting classes on this chart when trying to ninja from a non-Z-axis node. Demon Hunters and Rogues are your best targets on these types of nodes. Ret Paladins, Warlocks, and Marks or Survival Hunters are difficult but possible. Mages, Beast Mastery Hunters, Boomkins, and Death Knights should not be tried to ninja on by yourself on a non-Z-axis node. First, I'll go over Demon Hunters and Rogues. The reason these classes are most vulnerable to your ability to ninja is their only ranged attacks are physical abilities, giving your tracker's net huge value. The same kind of script plays out when you ninja versus a Demon Hunter or a Rogue. You get them off the flag, throw a tracker's net, and then stun and trap their trinket, and you have the flag. That may be a little quick and vague, so I made a beautiful animation explaining exactly what I mean. First, as you approach the base, you want the Demon Hunter or Rogue off the flag. If it is a Demon Hunter and he's standing directly on the flag, use your high explosive trap to get them off. Once they are off the flag, throw a tracker's net. If they opt to sit the full tracker's net, or do not have their trinket available, then congratulations, you just got the flag. If they do have their trinket and decide to use it, immediately use your intimidation stun and throw a freezing trap, and you will get the flag anyway. Rogues are dealt with in a very similar way, with the exception that they will be in stealth. Try to find them while you're in your camouflage. If you do find them, make sure to use your flare on top of them first, before starting the setup with your tracker's net so they cannot vanish out of it. If you can't find the rogue before your camouflage wears off, depending on how quick the enemy team is to rotate, you can force them out by capping, and eventually they will open and you can do your CC to cap at that point. Next, I'll go over what I would consider more difficult classes to ninja against on a non-Z-axis node. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking there's no way you should ever be able to ninja from a Ret Paladin, Warlock, or any Hunter before somebody rotates over to Hell. And the truth is, a lot of you are technically right. Generally speaking, unless no cooldowns are available, I should never be able to cap on those 3 classes before help arrives. That being said, you would be extremely surprised how many caps I've gotten on these classes at a variety of ratings simply due to my opponent's lack of knowledge of the mechanics of survival. It's really weird to say it like that, but survival is a very underplayed class in rated battlegrounds, and your enemy's unawareness of how it functions is one of your greatest assets, and can get you many bases that you otherwise should never get. Here are a few examples of caps that should have been 100% prevented had my opponent known how my toolkit worked. In this clip, I go to ninja on a Ret Paladin at Mines. He has all of his cooldowns available to him. So what I do is I first put him into an intimidation stun, and right after I throw a tracker's net over it. Intimidation stun only lasts 5 seconds, which is not long enough for me to get the cap, and I'm sure he thought that as well as he decided to sit it. However, since I threw these 6-second trackers net over it, once he came out of the stun, the global that he used to spin me, Judgment, missed, and due to him being in the trackers net, and allowed me enough time to secure the cap. So despite him having both Trinket and Bubble available, the lack of knowledge of how the Survival Hunter's tracker net works allowed me to secure the cap. This clip shows a similar situation but with a Warlock. I stun the Warlock, knock them away from the flag, throw a trackers net on them while they are mid-air, and trap their pet. Now, they do have Trinket available, and I'm not sure why they didn't use it, but I assume that they thought their pet would spin, although I did have it in a trap. Nevertheless, I was able to secure the base with all of their cooldowns available in a similar way. To finish off the non-Z-axis part of this guide, the classes from the chart before under the Don't Bother section, which included BM Hunters, Mages, Death Knights, and Boomkins. When I say don't bother, I mean it. Without a Z-axis to make use of, these classes should never lose the node until help arrives, and you would generally be a detriment to your team if you waste time trying to take a base from them, especially if they have multiple cooldowns available to stay alive for a long time. Now I'm going to go over ninjing on a Z-axis node. Z-axis nodes have a notable cliff or ledge, or Z-axis, that you can use to be out of your opponent's line of sight, knock them out of line of sight, or in some cases, knock them flat off the map. These nodes include Blacksmith and Lumber Mill on Arathi Basin, and all of the nodes on Eye of the Storm. Survival shines on Z-axis nodes. As far as class difficulty for these nodes, well, it might be ridiculous to say, but any class is vulnerable to a Survival Hunter's ninja cap on a Z-axis node, depending on their positioning and how ready they are. Previous classes that I would not recommend trying to ninja against are now viable targets of your ninja if on a Z-axis node, and I'll show some clips with examples. As I said before, Z-axis is survival's best friend. Here we see a Frost Mage, something we should never ever cap against on a non-Z-axis map, and just like that, he's off the edge and the base is mine. Knocking enemies can be used in other ways as well. Here I find a Boomy in stealth at Mage Tower. I stun them, use my knock trap to knock them far off the flag, and start capping on the side. By the time they are back in my line of sight, I finish the cap. To sum everything up, Survival Hunter is really fun to ninja bases as. If you use your ninjaing abilities well, you can pull off some really cool plays and potentially single-handedly pull out a victory. All that being said, I just wanted to finish off this video with a brief disclaimer. While ninjaing bases is fun and can definitely help the team out, RBGs are still a team and objective-based game mode. It's important to remember your designated role in your group. If your group decides that you should be the base hitter, it is best for the team that you do so. If you see a potential ninja opportunity, be sure to communicate that with your team so everyone is on the same page and all of your bases are covered. Always remember to be a team player. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about Survival Hunters, whether you are playing one or against one. If you have any suggestions or feedback for future videos, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I will also be streaming regularly with the upcoming season, so be sure to stop by and say hi. I'll leave a link in the description. So until next time, thanks for watching and have a great day.